Hello, and thank you for joining me today on The Political Conversationalist. My name is Ben Phipps, and since it's Friday, I'm doing another weekly update video on what happened in politics this week. So, in politics, really only one big thing happened this week, in my opinion, but I did find three stories, and we're going to talk about the two smaller ones first. And of course, we're going to end with the big deal that happened. So, firstly, Trevor Noah, he's a South African comedian who lives in the U.S. He has a TV show called The Daily Show. He's a very successful comedian. He made the joke after France won the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup soccer in Russia this year. France beat Croatia and won the World Cup. Trevor Noah made a joke. He said Africa won the World Cup because many of the French players can trace their lineage directly back to Africa. Some were actually born in Africa. Now, of course, that didn't sit well with France. A French diplomat said that it was disrespectful to France. It was disrespectful to the players because they loved France. They grew up there. They learned to play soccer there, and they love it. And he made a very interesting point. The diplomat did that saying that they're African and not French is perpetuating the idea that if you don't look like the people in your country, then you can't be of that country. He said that it was perpetuating the idea that you had to look white to be French, and he didn't like that. And I understand that. That's a very good point. Now, of course, Trevor Noah probably meant no harm from it. He's a comedian. Comedians say offensive things. That's what, 90% of comedy is offensive to someone. If it's not offensive, it's probably not funny. But that is a good point, that you don't have to look like the people in that country to truly be part of that country. You don't have to be white to be French. You don't have to look Hispanic to be Mexican. You don't have to look white to be American. You don't have to look black to be South African. Trevor Noah is an example of that himself. He's mixed. So I think that's a good point, and I think the rest of the world could really use that ideology, but it was just a joke. Now, Mark Zuckerberg, he started and runs Facebook, and he made an interesting statement on Holocaust deniers. Now, for a long time, people have said that Holocaust denial is hate speech. People that deny that the Holocaust ever happened. And most of them do hate Jews. They're anti-Semitic in their views. But Zuckerberg basically made the statement that they don't remove content for denying the Holocaust, but they demote it. So they don't promote it in the same way they would normal content, like the content I post on Facebook. Of course, it'll pop up on people's feeds if it's something that it seems interested to them, stuff like that. They're not going to do that with Holocaust deniers. And when pressed about it, he basically said that it was difficult to tell what is hate speech from what is someone's, albeit wrong, but rightful opinion. If they truly believe that, maybe they have no intent of being anti-Semitic with it, and they just are ignorant. And he doesn't believe that that content should be removed because of it. Now, he doesn't want to facilitate its spread, but he doesn't believe that content should be removed because it is wrong and offensive. And I have to say to him, kudos, Mr. Zuckerberg, because Germany, which we will learn in the hate groups video I have coming up probably 5-6 weeks from now, Germany and Rwanda could really learn something from Mr. Facebook there. As he said, just because it's offensive doesn't mean it's illegal and needs to be removed. Everyone has a right to free speech, even if it's something hateful they say. Now, of course, if they do something violent, if they communicate threats, slander, libel, all those things are illegal. But just not believing history is not illegal. It's just ignorant. Kudos, Mr. Facebook. And now the big story, the Trump-Putin summit. So, of course, Trump and President Trump of America and President Putin of Russia met in Helsinki and had, I believe it was over a 2-hour conversation, and then they did a joint press conference. So the big story that's been going on in America concerned with Russia is their meddling in the 2016 elections. The reason I put air quotes around that is because I don't think meddling is the correct word. I'll get to that in a moment. So when asked in the press conference, they asked Mr. Trump, President Trump, if he thought, if it was brought up and what he thought about Russia meddling in the election. He said that Putin vehemently denied that they meddled in the election, and he's, in a roundabout way, he didn't say they didn't and he didn't say they did. Basically, it came down to, well, why would they? And he's since gone on to say that in their private meeting, he did tell Putin that he would have to stay out of future U.S. elections, and that's just the way it has to be. A lot of people don't believe him on that, but it was a private meeting. We're not going to know what was said for a long time, if ever. So kind of have to take it at face value. Regardless of that, people are saying, why is Donald Trump taking the side of Putin over the intelligence agencies in the U.S. that concluded that Russian officials and the Russian government attempted to sway the election? Well, I would say, firstly, because he's not thinking like a diplomat. Trump's not a diplomat. Trump is a businessman. And I would say being a businessman would make you a better tactician than being a diplomat. Diplomats like to appease. They like to take moral standpoints. A businessman does what's better for the long term. And I think that's what Trump's doing. If you asked anybody 5 years ago what country was a threat to the U.S., they would either say China, North Korea, or Russia. Those are the three that can really hurt us. And if you look at what Trump's done in his first 2 years of presidency, he's forged ties with China, Russia, and North Korea. And I think that's in his mind to promote peace and at least with the three countries that could hurt us. A lot of people are, one of the EU officials said, be careful how you treat your allies, Mr. Trump, you don't have many. And I would counter that by saying we don't have any really allies. I don't think any country in the world would come to our defense if, say, Russia attacked us. I don't think any country in the world would come to our defense if North Korea attacked us. I think some might dogpile on us and attack us anyway. Just get on the pile and attack us too. But I think Trump has realized that we really don't have very many allies, and that the best way to promote peace is to be friendly with your enemies. So that's what I think about it. Now, of course, he has come out and said that he did believe they attempted to meddle in the election, but in his mind, it didn't really alter the effect of the election. In my mind, it didn't alter it as much as they're saying it did. But regardless, he didn't just take his word for it. He realized that that was a lesser issue than promoting peace for the next couple generations. Anyway, that's the three big news stories that's happened this week. Sources are down in the description. You can find those news articles there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.